Hello, all sentient beings, and welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we talk about all news, comics, and media related to thee. On this anniversary episode of Alt Mode, we review the first issue of the new King Grimlock comic. We look at some photos from the Rise of the Beast movie set, and finish up with some convention news. Today is Friday, August 13th, 2021, and this is episode 246 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that isn't doing anything for its birthday, and we're fine with that. I'm your host, Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hey, how's it going?
The amazing Epyk.
Hello.
And Daryl, the Cybertronian Beast.
It's my party, and I'll cry if I want to. Let's talk Transformers.
You don't need to cry. It's a happy time. Mostly.
We're 8. It's getting a little long in the tooth, aren't we?
8-year-olds do tend to cry sometimes, so I don't know.
That's right.
In terms of podcasts, 8 years old is kind of a senior podcast.
That was the birthday I found 3 kittens in our field. So that was a great birthday for me.
I guess podcast years are more like dog years, aren't they? So we're like
you guys
50,
are old.
we're like 56.
That's right.
I mean, podcasting started in 2004, so yeah.
2003.
2004. I'm one of America's Next Top Podcasters. I mean, come on. Yeah, there were downloads then, but the RSS stuff happened.
All right. Sadly, we're going to start off this podcast on a bit of a downer note because an icon from the 80s, Markie Post, has passed away. She had a battle with cancer, and she was best known as one of the I forget the lawyer's name on Night Court, but she was best known for her role on Night Court. And this was something, a fact that I did not know until Jeremy brought it up, was that she actually played June Darby on Transformers Prime. So she played Jack's mom on Transformers Prime, and she was a prominent character. She had a few in many episodes, and as a secondary character. So, R.I.P. to Markie Post. Best wishes for her family, and condolences.
She was Christine Sullivan on Night Court.
Ah, okay.
But yeah.
I
met her at a BotCon right around the time Transformers Prime was airing, and she was very nice. Thought she did a great job in that show.
Yep. All right. Well, moving on from the sad news, we'll go back to what's going on with Transmissions. Next week, we do have the next episode of Empire of Rust, episode 56, Transform and Punch Out. This is coming Monday, August 16th. This is the episode that's will be available to everyone in the free feed. If you are a Donatron, you already have access to the uncut early version. But this is significant because this is the season finale episode of Empire of Rust Season 1, and episode 57 will start a whole new chapter. So we'll see the thrilling conclusion of the first 2 years of adventures of Empire of Rust. So look forward to that. And another bit of slightly sad news is we wanted to give you all an update on what's happening with Transmissions, and we mentioned this in the toy show, so I'll just mention it again. That due to creative differences, the podcast and Yoshi have decided to part ways. So we really appreciate everything Yoshi has done for Transmissions over the years, and Yoshi is our friend and was a founding member of Transmissions, so he's an integral part of making the show what it is today. And we wish him well on all his current and future projects, including his ongoing Transformers Reanimated. So you can check that out at his website. And you can also check him out on Twitter. He's still on Twitter and putting stuff out on social media. So check him out there. And we wish him well on everything. So farewell to Yoshi, and hope everything goes well for him. So that sad note also translates into in a weird coincidence, we have reached another milestone with transmissions. This is our 8th anniversary. So when this episode is going up on August 13th, 2021 is the 8th anniversary of the Transmissions podcast. We had our first episode go up on August 13th, 2013. A very, very lucky number. This is starting now. Now we're starting our 9th year of Transmissions podcast. So we're excited to keep going forward. Although we didn't really plan any exciting activities for our 8th birthday, but we're looking into doing some contests later in the year. We do have a lot of stuff piling up in the prize closet to give away. You might have seen that in the toy show this week. We mentioned a couple other things that got added to it. So yeah, stay tuned for that as we plan for that later in the year. Also, this week is significant because it's the 35th anniversary of Transformers the movie. That was on August 8th, so that was on Sunday of this week. So yeah, it's always nice to share that particular milestone with with Transformers in general. Transformers the movie, a big part of every Transformers fan's lives. So. They just released the 35th anniversary Blu-ray, which I think all of us got to pick up, or most of us got. Transformers the movie. If you haven't seen it and you're listening to this podcast, you should definitely check it out.
A movie you just can't have one copy of.
Yeah. Got to own it in every format. All right, well, let's jump right in. We don't have any comics news this week, so we're going to jump right into our comic review. This week, we are reviewing Transformers King Grimlock #1. Written by Steve Orlando, art by Augustin Padilla, colors by Jeremy Caldwell, letters by Jake M. Wood, editor David Marriott, assistant editor Riley Farmer, and supervising editor Tom Waltz. King Grimlock had 3 covers this week. Cover A is Grimlock facing down a human woman, and that's by Carrie Nord. Cover B is Grimlock being engulfed in green energy, and that's by the interior artist Augustin Padilla. And the retailer incentive cover is by Mateus Santoloco, with colors by Marcelo Maiolo. And that's Grimlock in dinosaur mode fighting, looks like a Dungeons and Dragon group. We've got the dwarf barbarian, human warrior, and an elfin mage, and they're all fighting Grimlock in a fantasy world. So, Epyk, which cover did you like out of these 3?
Oh, see, here's the thing. Usually covers instantly called me, but I am torn between B and RI because both of these, I love both of these so much, and I've been trying to figure out which one I would pick more, and I don't know. I guess I'll go with cover B, but I really love both of these equally as much because they both serve different things. And this is a tough one. Usually I feel it's pretty clear which one, but both these are just great. I really love them a lot.
Awesome. All right, Daryl, which cover are you picking?
Well, I kind of agree with Epyk there that the RI is also really amazing, but I did buy the B cover because I thought it was super dynamic, and there's a lot of action going on in that B cover, I really liked it. Not saying anything against the A or the RI, but I really liked that Augustin Padilla cover. So, yeah, B for me.
All right, Jeremy, what are you picking?
I got the A cover because that's all my store had. But had I seen the B cover on the shelves, I would have grabbed that. Such a great dynamic image. But I think they all were good in their own right this week. Augustin Padilla did such a good job on the interiors and on that cover.
All right, I got to agree with you about cover B, but I'm going to go with the retailer incentive cover just because I am also a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, and I like this image of putting Grimlock into a D&D campaign. So I'm happy to see him as a kind of a D&D monster, I guess.
Yeah, well,
fighting
and it just
party.
ties in with the story. Man, if I collected comics, I'd probably just be getting both of these because I just think they're so sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, my shop didn't get this cover, so I did just get the cover A comic that I actually bought, but if I was able to, I would have gotten this retailer incentive cover. All right, well, let's get into the story. On Cybertron, Grimlock leads the Dinobots to aid the defense of Harmonix, the Singing City, from an assault by rogue Mechanibals. As Grimlock slices another Mechanibal in half with his Energo sword, Optimus Prime orders him to stand down. The Mechanibals have surrendered, so there's no further need to crush them. Grimlock disagrees. The Mechanibals tried to eat the Dinobots and the Autobots, so Grimlock wants to eat them back. Optimus argues that the Mechanibal leader, Mastermouth, already apologized for the attack and they have a treaty. Grimlock thinks showing mercy to an enemy is only showing them weakness. Prime responds that their mercy actually demonstrates their strength. Grimlock has another counter-argument, but he's interrupted. A green energy field erupts from the ground and starts to surround Optimus Prime. Grimlock sees a danger, and despite their differences, he moves to protect the Autobot leader. Grimlock shoves Prime out of the range of the mysterious energy field, but is caught by it himself. Optimus Prime and the other Dinobots watch as Grimlock disappears in a flash of light. On a distant world, Grimlock reappears in the middle of a primal forest. The organic surroundings and local flora and fauna tell him he's not on Cybertron anymore. As he tries to get his bearings and figure out where in the universe he is, Grimlock is attacked by giant animals that look like a cross between a saber-toothed tiger and a buffalo, with sharp elephant-like tusks thrown in for good measure. As the horse cats close in on him, Grimlock is excited for a fight. Grimlock's robot mode isn't best suited for this fight, so he transforms into T-Rex mode and uses his claws, teeth, and fire breath to repel his attackers. When the hostile pack of animals is defeated and turned into smoking bodies, Grimlock transforms back to robot mode, his rage subsiding. A group of humans approaches Grimlock in awe of his power after having watched him dispatch the Leodons. Arnak, leader of the Valorift people, along with his daughter Arco and several other villagers, greets the mighty Dinobot. Arnak tells Grimlock that they used a magic spell to bring him here to the world of Menonia, because they need his help. Grimlock is curious, so he listens. Arnak tells the story that many years ago, Autobots came to Menonia and helped liberate the world, fighting side by side with the Golden One. However, centuries later, the Golden One has grown power-hungry and enslaved Menonia himself. No one has the power to defeat the Golden One, so they use the last of their magic to summon the greatest Autobot leader from their legends, Optimus Prime. This sends Grimlock back into a rage. He wasn't even the one they were trying to summon? Arnak tries to backpedal, saying that they are grateful for any aid from the Autobots. Grimlock angrily declares that he is not an Autobot, but the king of the Dinobots. He tells Arnak that he's not going to be their champion. He has no interest in fighting the battles of weaker creatures. But Arnak continues to beg and plead their case. They have no more magic to weave another spell to summon Optimus, and that means they can't send Grimlock back home either. But if they work together to defeat the Golden One, they can regain the power to send Grimlock home. Meanwhile, the Golden One has eyes literally on this meeting. One of Arnak's group is a spy, sending a vision of this meeting directly back to the Golden One. The tyrant is amused that the Menonians summoned the wrong bot to help them. Optimus Prime might have united the disparate tribes and been a threat to the Golden One's power. But Grimlock is a petty fool who is too self-centered to think about helping or saving anyone else. Unaware that the Golden One is watching, Arnak continues to try to appeal to Grimlock's empathy or sense of justice. The Golden One has ravaged his people's lands, transforming into a giant dragon and burning everything in sight. The Menonians have been living and dying under constant threat from the Golden One for generations. Grimlock is truly their only hope. But Grimlock doesn't see it that way. If Grimlock helps them defeat the Golden One, that only makes Grimlock stronger. The only way Arnak's people will learn strength is to save themselves. Finally, Arnak tells Grimlock that helping the Menonians is Grimlock's only chance to return home to Cybertron. But Grimlock isn't swayed. He has no interest in returning home. They say he's nothing like the great leader Optimus Prime, who would never abandon people in their need. Grimlock agrees. He's not an Autobot, and he's not Optimus Prime. He turns his back on the Menonians and walks off. But Arnak's daughter Arco won't give up so easily. She's disgusted with the groveling display of her father and the other elders. She's seen the power Grimlock wields, and she's determined to get him to use it to help them overthrow the Golden One. If Grimlock won't help them by choice, she's going to make him help them, whatever it takes. She leaves her people and stalks off, following Grimlock. As Grimlock continues through the forest, he wanders into a group of giant Cyclops, looking very hostile. As they get ready to attack and ambush Grimlock, who hasn't noticed them yet, the Cyclops' weapons appear to be marked with the Autobot symbol. And that is where we leave off, to be continued next issue. So yeah, this is gave me I guess a Conan the Barbarian vibe for Grimlock here. It was I think the Augustin Padilla, he's done some previous Transformers work with Transformers Prime Beast Hunters. That was a comic series he did several years ago, and that also featured the Dinobot. So I see he's had experience doing Dinobot art, and this book is the art is really nice. I feel like we're not going to get a lot of Transformers in this story because it's just Grimlock on an alien world. So unless other Transformers are popping in to rescue him, maybe at the end it's going to be mostly Grimlock. But it looks like this is going to be a fun story. After reading the wiki, I did not remember this classic G1 episode, the Madman's Paradise, but that was apparently an inspiration for this comic. If you go and watch that G1 episode, all the G1 episodes are on Tubi TV, so you can check it out there. It's a season 3 episode where Grimlock and Daniel get transported through a portal to like a barbarian world. And you can see for yourself the differences between the setup there and what's going on in this comic, which I think it's just an interesting parallel. But yeah, I think I'm intrigued at least by this first issue. So we'll see how the story goes, and we'll see if Grimlock can turn around and his icy cold heart will be melted by the plight of the Menonians. This Grimlock did remind me a lot of the comics, Marvel Comics G1 Grimlock. Very much, arrogant, violent, not so much stupid, but he is using the me Grimlock speak, but he's not stupid or an idiot. He's just, very arrogant and violent and self-centered. So that was pretty much the traits of Grimlock from the Marvel comic, and he had to go through a journey to learn humility and empathy and all that stuff. So maybe we'll see that here in this comic. My one little nitpick with the characters is I didn't like how they named the father and the daughter Arnak and Arco. Those names just seem too close together. They're so close together that you get them confused, but they're not far enough apart that you could easily separate them. So
I agree with that, because it wasn't until you actually were recapping it that it dawned on me that that's why I was having a hard time following it, because I'm like, oh, that's that person's name. And I'm like, wait, that's the daughter's name? And so now, that was kind of a poor decision, because that whole exchange, because they keep saying their names back and forth to each other. And I'm like, wait, I thought that was the name of the leader. But yeah, that was a poor choice.
Yeah, that they should have. I understand making the names similar, but they're just Make one, give one a little bit more distinction, so you're not constantly confusing them. So, but okay, those were my thoughts. Epyk, why don't we start with you? What did you think of this book?
I'm really intrigued by it, and I think it's a lot of fun. I did go and rewatch that Madman's Paradise episode, and so you said that was inspiration for this, but in this comic they reference how someone in the past came and had like helped and stuff. So are they like, they're not actually going by the story from the show? Because technically that was Grimlock that went back, right? So Grimlock's acting like...
They're saying Optimus Prime went back.
Right, so they're changing who went back. Oh, I don't know. I like really love that they pulled from a G1 episode and doing that, but I just wish we weren't like trying to rewrite it. Like I wish, if Grimlock is the one who went back last time, I feel like it would have been fun to have him have memories of this place or something, but
the G1 episode was from season 3, so technically Optimus Prime was dead at that point. So
right,
that he wouldn't have been able to be in that in that story. But at least they made it sound like a whole team of Autobots.
Ultra Magnus went back. You could have referenced him.
Yeah.
Or Blaster, But anyways, aside from that little nitpick of my own of being disappointed that we couldn't just you use that as inspiration and stuff, and the story's already there, so it would have been cool to just follow it and add to it. But aside from that, I'm intrigued. Like you said, I think the story is neat. It's interesting that now it's like kind of reversed from the show, and I'll be curious to see how she can convince Grimlock to fight for them, and overall, like the artwork and stuff is really cool. I don't know that I necessarily love how the like artwork of the humans, like that line style and stuff. I don't know that I love that as much, but I like it on the bots and everything. So, but yeah, I thought it was a really good first comic of this story.
Cool. All right, Daryl, what did you think of this book?
I enjoyed it. I can definitely see the parallels to a Conan the Barbarian story, and it's a comic book trope that's very, very common. Somebody's thrust back into a kind of like I'm going to say Savage Land because it's Marvel, but it's a barbarian time, and they got to deal with the situation at hand, right? It's a very common trope. So this is seemingly that. It looks like there's a little bit of mysticism thrown in here just for good measure, which is another thing that Conan the Barbarian had a lot of. Yeah, it's an interesting little concept, and I really like that it seems like we've had Grimlock transform at least twice in this book, which I think is more transforming than the main title has had in like 3 or 4 issues. I'm all for more transforming. Like let's get that going. I think it's great.
It's in the name.
Exactly. The and yeah, I like him fighting, beasts that are bigger than him. And did he have to squish the chicken thing? I don't know what was the deal with that. I don't know why he squished that thing, but he was obviously pissed off.
I think that was like he didn't realize how fragile.
I guess. But yeah, so whatever. I don't really care. It's funny.
Maybe
that
he had a soft spot for that elephant creature and just didn't want him to get eaten.
Maybe.
Like an elephant mouse.
Yeah. But no, I like the art. I think the art fits this story really well. But I mentioned it to you guys before we even started recording tonight that I'm going to, and we've talked about it before, I'm going to say it's the colorist that does it, but the every single time that Grimlock appears in this book, which is a lot because it's a book about Grimlock, the Autobot symbol is a stamp, and it's not drawn on, and it's off center, or it's crooked, or it's not quite right, and it drives me nuts because it stands out to me every single time I look at it, because the artist Padilla here draws the Grimlock in a particular pose, which is not perfectly straight, and then whoever puts in this Autobot stamp tries to match it up, and they do it as best they can, I'm sure, but it's always screwed up.
Now
So
I
there's
can't unsee it.
I know,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things that if I look through at the book, and I can't miss it. It always, every single time, it stands out to me. And on a book like this, he's on every page, So that's the kind of thing that I really wish they'd just draw in. Even do something like Alex Milne does, where he just, there's a shorthand that he can do for the symbol, Like everything else is kind of, it's a very rough kind of drawing of Grimlock. There's some edges that it's not perfect, right? Everything's really rough and it fits with the art. But then this Autobot symbol is perfect, right? You can tell that everything on this Autobot symbol is just pristine, and it just doesn't fit with the art. So I really wish that they would kind of fix that. But other than that, I really like the story. It's starting to get going, and it's been fun. How do we know how many issues this is? It's probably like 4, 5.
I think it's 4 or 6. I can't remember.
Well,
yeah, I don't know either.
But it's I'm assuming that we'll get the Grimlock and the Golden One kind of doing a throwdown or something like that. It'll be a fun read, I think, and it's one of those things that I still don't think we're sure if it's in the main continuity or anything like that.
It's not.
Oh, it's not.
I asked on Twitter, and Dave Marriott told me it wasn't.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
And I was wrong. It's a 5-issue mini.
Oh, well, there you are. So if it's not in the main continuity, then just have at it. Have fun. Whatever. It's they can do whatever they want with the Grimlock in this because it doesn't matter. So it's fun.
All right. Jeremy, we'll finish up with you.
Yeah, I also had a lot of fun with this book. Ever since years ago when Daryl pointed out the stamp logos, it's just stuck out. So I blame him for that.
They can do whatever they want, but they need to not stamp their Autobot logos.
Right. I mean, I can only imagine it's like some mandate or something, or I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the artist can clearly draw. So let them draw the logo. I thought the writing was good. I read this before I rewatched the G1 episode. So I completely didn't have any recollection of the plot. So I just went into this blind, and I had a lot of fun with it. The writer Steve Orlando has done a number of books for DC that I've read, and I've always been a big fan of his work. So I've been looking forward to this for a while, and this first issue hasn't disappointed. Augusto Padilla, the art, taking aside the logo stuff, the art itself I thought was great. I really loved it. You can, like, everything is clear, and you can tell what's what and who's doing what. The only issues would be like you mentioned with the names, and I think there was a couple times where I think the word bubbles were pointing to the wrong person, but I'm not entirely sure. But beyond that, I mean, it was a beautiful book, lots of action. And then when I went and watched the show, I'm like, wait, is the book basically kind of following the same plot, or it's like, is it like a sequel to an alternate version of the episode? I don't know. I mean, so that kind of confused me a little, but I think this is going to just be a fun mini series regardless. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of this come out.
And this might be me not being like super into the comics and stuff, but there was a spot in here where, and I don't know if this is also just because of the review file or something, but like some pages were swapped around. Did you guys notice that, where it was like you read one, but you technically had to jump like 2 down for it to continue?
I think that was, it's a 2-page spread. Like, right. It's meant to be.
Yeah.
That's just like if you were holding the book in your hands, the 2 pages would be spread across. Like you'd read all the top of the pages and then all the bottom. So
I just thought they would have gone and order was all. So I just didn't know if that was just something with this file or like if there's something weird when you convert it to a one.
It's just how they do the review copies.
Okay.
It's just every single page. So
Interesting.
yeah, on the 2-page spreads, it does kind of read out of order.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just curious.
All right. Well, that was our review of Transformers King Grimlock. We're looking forward to the next issue. So we'll check that out in hopefully in about a month's time. So that's it. And we will move on to Transformers Media News.
All right, in media news this week, we don't have really anything else to talk about other than movie stuff. And we get another couple pictures of Transformers Rise of the Beasts Mirage. So you get some pictures of the vehicle, and it's a nice looking Porsche. But yeah, you can definitely see it just parked in a parking garage there. If you wanted some better pictures of it there. We got a little video of Optimus Prime driving down the street. So you can take a look at that. Oh, this is just set Roundup stuff. So yeah, so more pictures of cars on the lot. So more pictures of Mirage. There's pictures of a set being built. So it looks like inside of a cave. And yeah, it's just, I mean, it's a set. There's a lot of stuff. It looks like some dinosaur bones being offloaded off of a truck. So we might have a scene in a museum or something like that. Lots of interesting pictures being taken. This is all up in Montreal, so you can take a look in Montreal if you're there. But yeah, and then. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not a lot. This is going to be a lot of this crap going on until the movie comes out, or at least until they're done shooting. We're all just going to get just pictures from the set, and that's, it spoils a lot of stuff, which is unfortunate, but it's what happens nowadays in the age of everyone having a camera and the internet, and yeah. But yeah, that's what's going on in media news this week, guys.
All right, and we will finish up the show with convention news.
All right, we're going to start with TF Nation. They have announced that voice actress Jessica Giovanni is going to be attending the big broadcast of 2021. She is a voice actress who was in the Transformers Battlegrounds game as the voice of Windblade, and the game also had the rest of the cast of the Cyberverse series. So she just was doing Windblade in the game, though. TF Nation will be doing their big broadcast as I pull up the dates. The big broadcast of 2021 will be at... The website's not that good. The big broadcast will be August 13th and 14th. So as you're listening to this, maybe go and check them out. They have their schedule at tfnation.com and a number of awesome guests, including Gary Chalk, Neil Ross, the creators of Transformers Prime, a ton of other great people. So check that out. And then over in North America, we have TFCon Baltimore in October. They have announced that Josh Burcham, who is a comic artist on many things, most recently the Beast Wars comic. So check him out. He's a great guy. Always good to see him at conventions. So check him out. And that is in October. So that is it for convention news this week.
All right, and that takes us to the end of the show. We want to, we didn't mention it at the beginning, but we do want to mention if you are, if you want to contribute to Transmissions and become a Donatreon, you can go to transmissionspodcast.com/support. And we really appreciate all of our Donatreons for helping out the show and continuing to support us. You're what keeps the show going. And we really want to give an extra special thanks to our masterpiece donatrons, John 4X11 Good, Dinobot Maximize, and Demon Tech 82. So thank you so much for continuing to support us at the highest level on our Donatron, and you guys are awesome. Another way to help with the show is to buy merchandise from our TeePublic store. That's at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. And, anything you buy from TeePublic through that link will help out the show. All right, Epyk, thanks again for joining us this week. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find your stuff online?
Yeah, you can head on over to epyksuicide.com. That's EPYK suicide.com, and there you'll find all my links.
All right, and that brings us to the end of the show. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Later.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Transmissions. If you'd like to keep the Transformers talk going, join us in Discord at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. There's a great community there waiting for you. If you'd like to support our podcast, go to transmissionspodcast.com/support, or just tell your friends about our show. We'll see you next time.
Daryl, you keep making me yawn.
Sorry.